They say one bad decision can change your whole life. But what if that one choice cost you everything? My name's Daniel, and I had it all. A beautiful one, a son I adored, and a life most people would envy. But I threw it away. Want to know how a few stolen moments turned into a lifetime of regret? Let me tell you. We met in college, Ashley and I. She was everything I wasn't. Patient, grounded, always smiling like she knew a secret the rest of the world didn't. I fell hard and fast. We dated for 3 years before tying the knot. Those early days were golden. Every weekend felt like an adventure, even if we were just grocery shopping or binge-watching crime shows on the couch. We were that couple, always laughing, always touching, always in sync. Then came Ethan, our son, the best surprise of our lives. Holding him for the first time, I still remember the way my hands trembled. Ashley cried, and I kissed her forehead, thinking, this is it. We made it. We're a family now. That moment was pure, untouched by the chaos that would follow. But real life isn't some picture-perfect movie. Ashley threw herself into motherhood like it was her life's purpose. And in many ways it was. She was incredible. The kind of mom that made Pinterest boards come to life. But something changed. We stopped being Daniel and Ashley and started being Ethan's parents. I don't think we meant for it to happen. It just did. Somewhere between diaper changes, daycare drop-offs, and work deadlines, we lost us. I'd come home from my job at a tech firm, tired, hungry, sometimes stressed out of my mind, and she'd be just as drained. We'd sit on the couch, scrolling through our phones, eating dinner in silence. The intimacy? Gone. The little kisses before work, the surprise coffee runs, the late-night talks, all disappeared. Was it just the baby, or was there something deeper we were ignoring? I remember one night lying in bed beside her, watching her chest rise and fall as she slept. I reached out to touch her hand, but halfway there, I stopped. I couldn't explain it, but it felt like she was miles away. I turned over and stared at the ceiling, wondering when did we stop being close? And more importantly, why didn't we notice sooner? I felt invisible in my own home. Now I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just talk to her? Why not go to therapy? Try harder. God, I wish I had. But at the time, I convinced myself that I was the only one hurting. That she had everything. Our son, her career getting back on track, a life she was proud of. Meanwhile, I was sinking into this quiet bitterness that no one saw coming. I started working late, not because I had to, but because it gave me an excuse to avoid the silence at home. My office felt like a place where I still mattered, where someone might ask how my day was, not, did you take the trash out? Did Ashley stop loving me? Or did I stop loving myself enough to fight for us? These questions haunt me, because looking back, I see it clearly. The distance wasn't sudden, it was a slow drift. 1,000 tiny decisions not to connect, not to speak, not to reach out. And in that silence, something darker found room to grow. And that's where everything began to unravel. But before I tell you what happened next, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt alone in a room full of people, especially the ones you love most? If you've ever reached for someone and felt like your hand passed through a ghost, you'll understand what came next. I wish I could say I saw it coming, that I stood at some moral crossroads, weighed my choices like a man should, and consciously walked the wrong path. But the truth is far uglier. It didn't happen all at once. It happened in glances, in laughs that lasted too long, in conversations that wandered too far from just work. Her name was Maya. She was part of a new project team I got pulled into. Brilliant, confident, the kind of woman who filled a room without even trying. At first, it was all surface-level stuff. Meetings, updates, deadlines. But then it turned into grabbing lunch at the same spots, staying a little longer after work to wrap things up, swapping stories about our lives. She knew I was married. I made that clear from the start. I even showed her a picture of Ashley and Ethan on my phone once, talking about how fast kids grow up. She smiled, said something like, "You're lucky to have that." And I believe she meant it. So how did it shift? Maybe it was the way she laughed at my dumb jokes, the way she listened when I talked about feeling stuck, invisible. Maya looked at me like I was still someone interesting, someone desirable. And in those moments, I didn't feel like a failure. I felt seen. One night we ended up at the same gym. She waved from across the room, and afterward we talked in the parking lot for over an hour, just sitting on the hood of my car. That was the night I knew I was in trouble. Why didn't I stop it? That question eats at me. I knew the slope I was sliding down, and still, I didn't dig my heels in. I justified it. Told myself it was harmless, that I deserved a little happiness, that I'd fix things at home, eventually. Maybe you've told yourself the same lies. Maybe you've stood on that edge and felt the thrill of someone new noticing you. But let me be the first to say that thrill comes with a cost. It started with a kiss. One I didn't resist. One I didn't regret until I did. After that, everything spiraled. We started sneaking around. Lunch breaks became hotel rooms. Late work nights turned into excuses. And I became someone I didn't even recognize. I was juggling guilt and lust, love and betrayal like fire in both hands, pretending I wouldn't get burned. And yet, I kept going back to her, even when the guilt clawed at me, even when I saw the toll it was taking. I'd lay in bed next to Ashley, our son sleeping down the hall, and feel like the biggest hypocrite alive. But I couldn't stop, or maybe I didn't want to. Can a moment of attention really be worth a lifetime of pain? I used to think affairs were just about sex, but they're not. They're about ego, escape, selfishness dressed up as emotional need. And when you're drowning, even a lie can look like a lifeboat. But here's the thing about lies. They float for a while, sure, but eventually they sink. And when mine did, it took everything down with it. So before I tell you how Ashley found out and what she did when she did, I need to ask, have you ever convinced yourself that one secret wouldn't hurt anyone? What happens when the one person you thought would never know finds out everything? I used to think I was careful, slick, smart, that I had everything under control. I deleted messages, used a separate email, booked hotels under fake names. I had rules, strict ones. No texting late at night, no calling on weekends. And I never ever brought Maya anywhere close to my home life. But no matter how tight you think your grip is, secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks. It started with something as simple as borrowing a laptop. Ashley's old one had been collecting dust on a shelf in our home office. Mine was acting up, so I used hers to check some files for a presentation. I didn't think much of it. I logged into WhatsApp Web just for a second, and I guess I forgot to log out. That tiny oversight, it destroyed my entire world. Ashley never said anything, not at first. That's what chilled me the most later. She opened that laptop one afternoon while I was at work, planning to send some documents to a family member. And there they were, hundreds of messages between Maya and me, texts that couldn't be explained away, conversations full of hotel names, private jokes, plans for weekends I had claimed to be at a work retreat. Every word was a nail in my coffin. She didn't confront me that night or the next. Instead, she played it smart, strategic. She looped in her best friend Jessica, who also happened to be a lawyer. They began collecting evidence, screenshots, email access. My saved passwords were stored in a chat with myself, like a damn idiot. With one click, she was in my accounts, my phone backup, my personal Gmail, even my cloud storage. Everything I'd ever tried to hide was laid bare before her. And I had no idea. I was still lying, still telling her I was swamped at work, still giving her that same tired kiss on the cheek and disappearing for hours. She'd ask me how my weekend trip went, and I'd give her some recycled story about networking dinners and back-to-back meetings. She'd nod, smile, even pack me sandwiches. And all the while, she was watching me burn our marriage to the ground. Then came the day it all unraveled. I walked into our living room after work and found my parents sitting there, faces tight, eyes full of something between confusion and fury. Ashley was standing beside them, silent, holding her phone in one hand and a stack of printed papers in the other. I knew. The air in the room was thick, like it was holding its breath for me to finally confess. My father, my rock, the man I admired most, stood up, looked me in the eye, and slapped me. I don't even remember falling. All I remember is the sound, the echo of it in the silence, and the look on Ashley's face, cold, tired, and done. I begged her, fell to my knees, told her I was sorry, that it meant nothing, that I'd do anything to fix it. She didn't blink, She didn't speak. She just turned around, walked to our bedroom, and came out with her suitcase and Ethan's backpack. That was the last time I saw them in our house. Do you know what it feels like to watch everything you love walk out the door because of your own stupidity? Have you ever broken something so badly you knew instantly it could never be fixed? Because that's the moment I stopped being a husband, a father, even a son. I became the man who ruined it all. After Ashley walked out with Ethan, I sat on the floor for what felt like hours. No tears, no screaming, just this hollow ringing in my ears. I remember looking around the house, our house, and realizing it didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a crime scene. Every picture on the wall was evidence of a life I'd shattered. Every toy on the floor, every baby sock tucked into the corner of the couch was a reminder of what I'd thrown away. But the emotional wreckage? That was just the beginning. Within a week, Ashley filed for divorce. And she didn't come at me alone. She came with Jessica, her best friend, her lawyer, and now her shield. They filed every case you could imagine: divorce, custody, financial disclosures, even an emotional distress claim. The courts became my second home. Every time I stepped into a courtroom, I was stripped a little more of who I used to be. They were ruthless, but I don't blame them. I gave them every reason. My parents, who had once stood proudly beside me at my wedding, cut all contact. My mom cried over the phone, whispering, "Why, Daniel? Why did you do this?" My father, he didn't even speak, just sent one final message: "You're not my son anymore." Then he updated his will and gave everything: family business, property, assets, to my younger brother. Just like that, I was disinherited, erased. Financially, I got hit hard. Ashley's team combed through everything: my accounts, my job benefits, my past bonuses. I had to pay spousal support, child support, legal fees on both sides, and court-mandated therapy sessions. The affair, being proven in detail, didn't just end my marriage. It ended my financial future. I went from living in a nice home in a quiet suburb to a one-bedroom rental next to a gas station. The walls are thin, the water runs cold, and I sleep on a mattress on the floor. But none of that hurts as much as losing my son. Ethan is the reason I still wake up every morning, and yet I only get to see him every other weekend, supervised. The court decided I needed to prove myself as a father again, as if the years I spent changing diapers, reading bedtime stories, and singing lullabies never happened. And honestly, maybe they didn't matter once I chose to betray his mother. The worst part? Ethan doesn't look at me the same. He used to run into my arms, giggle when I made silly voices, ask me to play dinosaurs. Now he's quiet, unsure. He calls me Dad, but it feels like a title I no longer deserve. You ever look into your own child's eyes and feel like a stranger? That's a different kind of pain. It doesn't scream, it just settles in your chest and stays there. There's no one left in my corner. Maya moved on. My friends disappeared. Most of them were mutuals with Ashley, and the rest just didn't want to be part of the fallout. And I get it. No one wants to be around a man who burned down his own life. So I sit alone most nights, staring at old pictures, rereading court documents, trying to figure out how I became this version of myself. Let me ask you, what would you do if you lost everything you loved because of a decision you made with your eyes wide open? How do you rebuild a life when you're the one who destroyed it? It's been 3 years now. 3 long, quiet, sobering years since the day Ashley left. Since Ethan stopped calling me Daddy with that joyful little squeal. Since I lost not just my marriage, but my identity. And now I live in the wreckage of my own making, alone, broke, and filled with regret that doesn't fade, no matter how many mornings I survive. I used to think regret was just an emotion, a feeling, something temporary. But it's not. Regret is a presence. It follows me everywhere. It sits in the passenger seat when I drive to work. It eats dinner with me in silence. It watches me brush my teeth in the mirror and whispers, "This is who you really are now." I can't look at photos of Ethan without choking up. He's growing fast. Ashley sends updates once in a while. School pictures, soccer team news, a drawing he made in art class. I keep them all, tucked in a shoebox like sacred relics. He's smiling in every one. It's the same smile I used to see every night before bedtime. I'd give anything to go back to that time, To walk into the nursery, pick him up, feel his little arms wrap around my neck, and hear him say, "I love you, Daddy." But now, even those memories hurt because I know I tainted them. And what about Ashley? She's thriving, moved on. From what I hear, she's doing well in her career. She's built a new life, one that doesn't include me. And honestly, she deserves it. She gave her heart to a man who promised her forever, and I shattered it for nothing more than ego and cheap validation. People ask me sometimes, do you still talk to Maya? No, she was never the problem, I was. And once it all came crashing down, she walked away too. I don't blame her. We were both living in a fantasy. The difference is she left with her life intact. I, on the other hand, am still paying the price. I've tried therapy. I've tried journaling. I've tried going out, meeting new people, even dating again. But it all feels forced, empty, like I'm pretending to be someone I no longer believe in, because deep down I know the truth. I had a good life, a beautiful life. I had love. I had a family. I had respect. And I threw it away for what? A few moments of excitement, a distraction from my own unwillingness to communicate. I wasn't cheated out of anything. I chose this. Every step, every lie, every betrayal. Now, all I have left are lessons learned too late. If there's anyone listening right now, anyone who's where I was, who feels lonely, invisible, tempted, I beg you, talk to your partner. Tell them what you need. Tell them how you feel. Fight for your family before it's too late. Because when it's over, when you've scorched the earth, all that's left is silence. And no affair, no thrill, no ego boost is worth that kind of emptiness. Let me leave you with this. What would you say to the person you loved most if you knew it was the last time you'd ever see them? And what would they say back if they knew the truth? Think about that before you make the same mistake I did. Because some bridges, once burned, don't get rebuilt. How would you feel if everything you built, your family, your trust, your future, was torn apart by one terrible mistake? What would you do if you were in Daniel's shoes, watching your world crumble, knowing you caused it? Let us know in the comments. Your thoughts matter. If this story moved you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's not just for us, it's so Daniel and others like him can feel less alone. Your support tells them their story was heard, that someone out there understands. And maybe, just maybe, redemption starts with being seen.